Hello, and welcome to today's JD Edwards Week Game Changers session. My name is Matt Whitaker with Quest, and I will be moderating today's session. We have a few housekeeping notes to go over before we get started. Please remain muted throughout the session unless prompted by the speaker to unmute. If you have a question, please place it in the Zoom chat, and the speaker will address the questions at the end of the session as time permits. If you have a general question about the event, please contact registration@questoraclecommunity.org, or you're welcome to send me a message in the Zoom chat. This message is being recorded, or this session is being recorded, and will be available in the Quest content library for paid Quest members after the event concludes. And at this time, I'd like to introduce today's speaker from Denovo, Parda. Have you go ahead, please?
Thank you, Matt. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for taking time and joining us for this session. My name is Parda Panchananam, and I've been with Denovo well over 10 years. I've been around in the industry for 30 years. We've been doing very exciting stuff. I'd like to share some of it with you all. And I'm pretty sure you're going to like the educational session we have here to offer. Now, revolutionizing business operations with intelligent automation and AI. It's a very powerful title. And just to go over, I want to break this up into a few parts. Let's start with the agenda. So our agenda is, I want to give you an overview, and we have prepared a video to give you a sneak peek of what our vision is. And our approach to find a solution is going to be very educational for everybody on the team. And I do have some time set aside for the demo because, yeah, we have screenshots. We can go over screenshots, but I'd like to take you through the system and show you the system. And there is one other thing I want to touch base. That's the package building tool that we have. And we have spent a lot of time in perfecting it. I'd like to talk to you about that. And then we'll end our session with questions and answers. So as I mentioned already, this is an educational session. And a lot of you already know the key components for success, the people, the process, and the technology. And, you know, we have to look at all three components with a clear focus on the revolutionizing part, and obviously to simplify and automate the business processes. Then once we look at the whole overall approach, so the intelligence, okay, it is actually our intelligence to make it efficient and simple, and also considering all the possibilities, gathering this intelligence, and which is obviously going to help increase the possibilities to automate. And obviously the next key step is people. It's kind of rare, but I did run into few instances where, you know, users don't want to use a smartphone or a new technology. But on the flip side, these users, they actually bring years and years of experience to the table. And they have seen ups and downs in the process and adapting new technologies, which is going to be a big asset. So we have to consider this component as well. Okay, can everybody hear me? I think I got muted.
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so I don't know how much of this actually the overview session. let's move on. We can cover back if we need to.
Part of it was just a few seconds. I was trying to make sure everyone was muted and then um, accidentally clicked on your name. So sorry about that.
No worries. Thank you, Matt. Okay, now let's look at the a small video that we prepared for you. And this video pretty much is going to show you what this is all about. Having a chat session with your JD Edwards instance. And even asking the questions with slight variations and producing the right results that you want to see. And so let me play the video for you. And by the way, there is no audio. This is just a video. Well, that's the end of the video. It's a nice animation we created for you to just to give you an idea of what will be more effective in terms of communicating or talking or chatting with your ERP instance. Now, let's talk about the title and the overall approach. Our title clearly is Revolutionizing the Business Operations, with key factor is intelligent automation. And the business operations And how do we revolutionize them? The first thing is we take a step back and look at the bigger picture. We do that because we want to utilize on automation and also increase the operational efficiency. And obviously, we need a dramatic shift. We need to reshape and redefine the approach because artificial intelligence is the topic that everybody is talking about for the last few years. We can't fix issues with the same approach the way how we've been handling all these years, right? So this is a JD Edwards week, and that is a challenge that we all must consider, the application releases and tools releases. So even if we have a solution, how does it work across tools releases? To revolutionize a project, it means it's, as I said, drastically improve, completely change its approach. In planning and managing the production, service, delivery, quality control, inventory management, any domain across, from acquiring raw material to finished goods, all of the day-to-day activities. Every single one of them using the functional expertise, understanding what is needed and how it can be done efficiently is what I'm going to talk about in our approach. Intelligent automation. I mean, everybody heard about AI, and some of you might have heard about the intelligence behind it. Artificial intelligence, it's definitely a smart invention. And of course, we need it. And to what extent we're going to use it, it's still being worked on. And when it comes to artificial intelligence, there are several buzzwords. It is a combination of several tools. Machine learning. Okay, there are algorithms that are designed for machine learning, and there is natural language processing also that's involved. And there is the vision-based, seeing things, scanning documents, and pulling text from like PDFs and using that data to create transactions. And not to mention the decision-making capabilities. The artificial intelligence can weigh options and make basic choices based on the data. And of course, this is all rule-based. We have to train. We have to tell the system. The intelligent piece comes in when you actually combine artificial intelligence with other technologies. And when I say other technologies, it's wide open. There are several third-party tools. And JD Edwards itself has the orchestrations. And there are a lot of third-party tools, RPA, I mean UiPath. And the ultimate goal is to create systems that actually just don't follow pre-programmed, just don't follow pre-programmed. But also think, learn and adapt to the needs. So the intelligent piece actually is clearly when we combine the AI tools with third-party technologies. That's where we acquire, and that's where we get into creating effective solutions. Now, combining the whole thing, with the emphasis on efficiency, and should be easy to implement, and also, of course, maintain, and should be cost effective. And there are several examples I can give you. For instance, think about a solution that actually can take data from a third-party system and create sales orders automatically. And there are a lot of interfaces available, but how do we create a same thing as a packaged solution with intelligence piece behind it that actually can monitor the sales orders that are being created and flag them if there is anything unusual, or actually even make suggestions when you have to apply some additional discounts that were not automatically applied. The key factor is the system actually doesn't um, automate, but it evolves over a period of time. And as a solution, uh, some knowledge comes with it, but the system keeps evolving. And also, the goal actually is to handle both the structured tasks and unstructured ones. Okay. And also, the key factor is reducing the human effort in the whole approach. So it's all about amplifying the productivity by tackling things that are too complex for basic chatbots. That's the overall solution that I'm going to talk about. So our approach is simple. I mean, I touched base already a couple of times, like, how how efficient we can make it, how easy to implement and maintain. Um, and bottom line is, how did we build addressing all these approaches? And also, for what environments we are building it. I'm talking about tools releases, different levels, applications and tools. And, in any artificial intelligent system that actually requires basic components, you need data collection. We need to get enough data and the knowledge. Then also we need the wireframe. And also we train the model. I mean, they use this word a lot, training the model. And that's obviously we have to do as well. And there is something called fine tuning. That's actually after testing and everything is done. Fine tuning is something that actually cleans up the responses and make it more user friendly. And again, key thing is different environments across different tools releases. That's the key. Now, this is going to be the topic that some of you know already might know. The ChatGPT came out back in 2021 or 2022, and it's pretty much key part in a lot of people's lives, and not in the industry, JDE industry, but ChatGPT, and there's Grok as well, and there's Microsoft Copilot. And one thing is, what does this GPT stands for? It is generative, pre-trained, and transformer. Okay, let me spend just a few minutes talking about this, because this is key to our understanding and create a solution that is addressing all of the requirements. And one thing is, when you start doing Google search, you start typing like, the color of the sky, and it automatically starts filling in blue or red or in your area, all of this. How does it know? That's where the generative part comes into picture. And how does this generative part works? It all depends on how effectively it's pre-trained. We need to let the system know all the facts. And yeah, sky is blue. System knows. How? It's been around, everybody knows, and everything in the internet talks about it. So all of this data is being fed. And taking this data from different sources, dissecting it and storing it in what we call a high dimensional vector is another buzzword. And bottom line is, it's nothing but storing data in a mathematical representation. I mean, it can be accessed using an algorithm, just like the human brain works. So the pre-training and then the generative approach, that's what actually feeds into the transformer, which is nothing but a neural network, and artificially created, of course. How does it work? It takes the input sentence or question and tokenizes the whole thing and analyze it. Well, I know analyzing is simple, but what analyzing means, it's understanding the context and relationships between all the words, and then use all the pre-trained data that's stored in the high dimensional vector and generate the response. And that's what this GPT is all about. And all the chatbots, and they use the same technology. But the key is to understand these components before, and that's what we have done. Now, before we talk about small language model, I'd like to touch base briefly on LLMs, which is nothing but a large language model. And what are they? I mean, they're good for complex situations, and they have much better conversational capabilities. Of course, it's all based on the knowledge that we provide. And one thing these large language models cannot do is get information or transactional data from a live system because they're outside the scope. They're not online. They're behind firewalls and they belong to different customers. So large language models, they're also difficult to create and implement, and there are very few. Now, on the flip side, let's talk about the small language models. Okay, the accessibility and affordability is the key factor, and the data that it has to deal with is a lot less than a large language model, and the fewer parameters. Yeah, in terms of when I say parameters, when we ask a question, what is the credit limit? That means it's like split up into 4 or 5 different tokens, and each one of them is a parameter. The neural network is going to take all of them and then, using every token, figure out the next best token. And the small language models, actually, they're less resource intense and faster, actually, when it comes to deployment and or training. So they're lightweight and requires less processing power. And they're also rule-based, and we need to define the rules. We need to build a model, and it also functions, besides tokenizing the input request, it also works based on what we call keyword matching. And these small language models, they have a very small footprint. It can be hosted locally, and you can even use it offline mode. And of course, when you say offline mode, we need to gather some information periodically and store it. And it can be done because the data that we're storing or dealing with is limited. It's not huge, humongous. And obviously, the last piece is scalability. Okay, of course, easy to deploy. But what about expanding? What about expanding to a different domain or expanding to a different third party? Of course, we're talking about JD Edwards, but I mean, how do you expand it to third party? And also, how do we utilize large language model if needed, depending on the question? So that's where this whole design for our thing comes into picture. We are focusing on using small language model with all the benefits, if needed, from a large language model. How does it look? Well, here is the picture. User asks a question, and the question is taken and tokenized and split up. And that's fed into a small language model, and has limited knowledge but extensive knowledge on the domain on where we are using this SLM for. So it has the bigger data set that feeds from a large language model, and at the same time, specific to a customer. That's coming from the domain-specific data. And obviously, as I said, it's pre-trained, again, domain-specific. And there's one other component here that's missing in the picture. That's we talked about it, touch base briefly before. That's fine-tuning. And that actually comes before the response is delivered to the users. So ask a question, goes to pre-trained small language model that engine uses either general big data set or domain specific data set, and then fine tune the response and deliver it to the users. That's our chat JDE. Now let's see it. Yeah, this is a screenshot. So as you can see, the first question is very generic, right? This is where exactly the system uses the large language model. And of course, the one that we're using to demonstrate the functionality, this is a light model of our system. So it's a limited responses. And so as you can see, the second question, at specific, it's clearly asking for a credit limit of a capital system, which is the customer name. And so there is the answer. Where did this come from? This is domain specific, but not static. It is retrieving actively information from JD Edwards. Moving on to the next screen, and can you create a sales order? And no, it can't because we didn't tell it, because now we didn't provide all the information needed. So that's when it uses the large language model or other rules that we have defined to tell, okay, this is what I need. Same thing with the work order, okay? And these are some of the examples we have picked. And just like the earlier slide, large language model is kicking in to provide a different type of response. As you see in the first part, it's saying like, hey, I apologize, I can't create it. And also it's telling you, okay, creating a work order means I need all these details. Let's get to the specifics. We're saying like, okay, hey, give me the order information 997. So now again, before you can ask the question, you need to know that order number. Yeah, of course, we can ask like, what are all the list of orders for a specific bill to, or ship to, or shipping out of a specific business unit. You can get a list and then use the numbers that are from the list to ask for more details. We're just showing basic details here. Nothing extensive about a sales order or a work order. And obviously, this is not entirely for business or functional side of things. Also, we wanted to extend this to the CNC side as well. So the question can be on the CNC side of things as well for the CNC users. Now, I think we have seen enough slides. I'd like to, at this point, switch to a different screen, a different system, and let's see the actual demo, the system directly itself. Stop sharing here. Bear with me, just setting up. Okay. Everybody should be seeing my other screen. Here's our chat JDE. And I also have logged in to the JDE. And I have the studio login as well. We don't need that. Okay, it is our system. Just asking some general questions. And let's pull a customer and we will do credit limit is 100,000 for technology systems. Okay, let's ask. Can you get me credit limit for systems? Okay. Credit limit. Of course, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. For it did retrieve 100,000. So I'm going to make a small change here and save it. And now it should be getting us the updated information. There it is. And this is actually, like I said, initially general questions. It uses the large language model, and when it is system specific, it will branch out to the custom training that we have built into the system, and also means to connect to a live system and pull the information and present it. Now let's also look at some sales orders. And how about 2445?
Parda, I am not seeing the screen if you are wanting to show something.
Um, okay. I have actually a screen presenting. Let me.
I can see it.
We're seeing it in.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Good.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks. All right. Where was I? Let's look at a sales order 2445. Get me details of sales order 2445. It worked. So that's the order type, company, ship to, requested date. I mean, we can customize or we can train the system to retrieve more information of a sales order. And thing oh yeah, that one actually we have not included in this. And so that means work order also is not part of it. And let's look at the details of last package for DB920. So that's directly coming from the system. And I have work orders also, ability to pull work orders as well, included in this. And let me do this for production as well, our PY, our product, gave me the same thing for PY. Oh, there it is. And I want to pull up a work order that is already in the system. All right. Let's pull this one. Multivitamin tablets, 451127. Get me work order details for work order 451127. Okay, that's how we retrieve. And as I mentioned, this capability, this is again, we have already pre-built um, some of the functionality, and it keeps on growing. It keeps on um, expanding its ability and questions. Every time you ask a question that you cannot understand, and whatever we tell the system to handle or respond based for a specific question, it actually keeps on increasing the knowledge database and keep on using it as it grows. And I know these are only very few areas that we have included in the demo. So I'm gonna at this point stop and switch over to my other system to continue with the rest of the presentation. And well, that's actually the process of the system that we wanted to show you. Hope you all liked it. And obviously, additional details actually are available on demand. And I'd like to insist on the fact that we have kept in mind tools releases and applications and tools to make sure that this works across multiple tools releases. Um, Now, at this point, I'd like to shift focus and talk about a little bit on the automated package builder. And again, this is a built-in solution into our chat JDE, and it can actually do a combination of tasks. And this is purely on the CNC side. As you can see, it's all the basic tasks as assembling a package, building a package, deploying a package. And it also can handle a combination of tasks, meaning if you want to promote a project across multiple environments, which sometimes we do in terms of testing, and can handle that too across multiple. And also, the other thing, ability to schedule package builds. Now, there are some tools available, but I want to show you a few screenshots and talk about the functionality briefly about the scheduling ability. And also, we have multiple modes available, okay, either by object status, project status, or by a specific project, and also the notifications. We send out notifications across the process, all the way from the assembly to deployments. And again, release, because the tool, package building tool, has to work across environments. And it's not only specific to one specific release. We are targeting from 925X or above. And here are some screenshots out of our system. These are the schedules, and each entry will identify what must be done. As you see here, there is a processing mode and for which environment. And what is it doing? It's like, is it checking for projects available, or is it checking and promoting, building, or deploying? You can define all of that just like any reoccurring meeting in Outlook. What days you want to repeat, and starting on what day, and keep it active or inactive. And of course, each entry in the previous grid that you saw has all these details in it, which can be selected depending on the option you want to do. And also, how does this whole system works? I mean, what controls the whole process? We do have master settings, which are like one-time setup and can be maintained and by the administrators, of course. And these settings control the functionality. And some more additional setup that goes with the master settings, like what type of builds you want to do. And we have provided these mainly because we're not going back to drawing board to do additional development. We have given the ability to define different modes and for different environments, a combination of environments. Though that's what all these settings are for. And also have a couple more screenshots here because each customer has a different project status, code starting and starting status and ending status for a specific environment. And depending on that, the setup can be changed. And I'm hearing a little echo, Matt. Now, all of this we have created using JD Edwards orchestrations. And of course, there is some custom functionality behind the scenes. And I'm sure you've seen JD orchestrations, JD Edwards orchestrations before. And so this is a slightly complex orchestration, as you can see. And it's has been already tested, and it's going to be part of the Chat JDE as a specific domain, the CNC domain, along with the functional side of things. And so that actually brings me to the end of the presentation and what I have. And again, thank you for all your invaluable time attending this session. And I wish you have a wonderful rest of the day. And I'm going to turn it over to Sam or Matt for any question answer.
Hi, yes, we actually have quite a few questions, but we will have a limited amount of time to answer these. But the first says, let's see. Uh, I'm trying to scroll up and find the first one. Um, One says, interestingly, can you get me? That's a quote. Confuse the model. How precise should one be in writing the prompts? My assumption is that was when it was back when you were doing the Chat GPT.
Well, okay, good question. When it comes to asking the system something, there is no specific format, and as I said, it's based on keywords, and also since it's a small language model, the complete tokenizing approach that's available in large language models is not present. But as we keep training the system, like if it sees a word, sales order, or create sales order, and it's smart enough to figure out what needs to be done. And if it doesn't understand, it'll ask you back, like, okay, is this what you want? And depending on the answer, A, it does the job, and B, it trains itself. So in future, it can use the similar questions to respond. Did that answer your question?
There's a follow-up. They say yes, that does. There's a follow-up. Does it work with other languages than English, like Spanish or French?
Good question. Yes, it does. And eventually, this is going to be available in multiple languages. That's correct.
Okay, we'll go on with the next one. How JDE verifies whether person who is asking a query through Chat JDE has authority to get that info as per role-based security setup done in JD Edwards.
Great question. And in the demo that I have used a smaller set and also the logging in piece into ChatJDE. I did not show that piece. So basically, that ChatJDE chatbot comes with its own authentication, and it's going to be integrated with LDAP and single sign-on. So the person who is logging in should have the privileges on the domain to be able to utilize and communicate with JD Edwards behind the scenes.
Next question. I'd assume your login in the chat should match JDE user.
That is correct. Yes.
And as of which tools release is this available?
So far, we have tested it on 925X and above.
Let's see. This is the next question. The very first search you did shows an error. Does it mean that the question should be in a specific format or not enough model training? Also, is the model trained enough so that even if it makes a typo or if the spelling or grammatical error, would it still reply to the question?
Great question again. Um, as part of the training, you will get two different types of responses. One is if the question that is being asked already handled or the system is already trained with, then you get the proper response. Yes, we did see a little piece of code popping up saying error. And that's because, it is trying to look for an answer and it couldn't tokenize the sentence. And so then it tries to look at a large language model, branched out to a large language model, and that actually throws a response out. And as you know, the any chatbot that's utilizing the large language model is only accurate to some extent. Some of them are actually 98% accurate. Some of them are 95% accurate. So the responses that you see, which is like a code, that is not intended, but that's all uh, part of the system. And if it gives you that kind of response, it's going to be on us to make sure it doesn't do that. But actually, yes, that was a erratic response that's coming from a large language model and not from the code.
How does the pricing work?
Just like any other domain, we haven't used that as part of the demo. Uh, uh, Let me make sure I understand the question. Are you talking about the advanced pricing or are you talking about the pricing of the product?
Would someone like to unmute who asked the question?
Okay, so pricing of the product. So I think for that one, you'll have to reach us or Sam on our sales side to get you more information.
Okay, next one. But in JD Edwards and JDE, one user can have multiple roles associated with it. Uh, how this would be taken care of, or how would this be taken care of in Chat JDE?
Great. It's in our pipeline, actually. Um, when you log in, of course, a role is very important. And that's when we were making the video, we did consider it. That's why I have that little pop-up showing like, I'm not at liberty to discuss or show the details. But yes, it is part of the logging process to make sure the person who is asking has the right role. It uses JD Edwards security underlying that's in place.
Okay, next question. Does the AI chat retrieve data from the JDE using orchestration?
It's one of the ways, one of the methods. Orchestrations obviously is the means to communicate very easily, and JD Edwards has made it or making it consistently efficient. So, answer to your question, orchestrations is one of them, but it also can do what we call, for lack of a better word, is direct communication. So the AIS will also allow direct inquiry into a table or direct inquiry into, direct ability to directly execute a business function. So we can do at those levels as well. So it's not primarily orchestrations, but AIS is the gateway for us to get the information and or connect to a live system.
Next question, is this utility restricted only to inquiry?
That is correct. This is the Chat GPT, Chat JDE right now is inquiry based. Um, and it also is going to have the ability to create um, uh, transactions, again, subject to security checks and all the available privileges. But that's the bigger scope.
Okay, next question. Package builder, who, what copies from 21 to 26, which must happen on the FAT client?
Well, correct. But with the tool, you don't have to really get on a FAT client. If you define a transition of a project from DB to PY, means it's like pick a project from 21 and promote to 26, you define that in the setting. And when you schedule the package build and promote task, it takes that configuration you're defining specific to an environment from and to based on the definition, and the orchestration is capable to promote the project on your behalf before assembling it, and building it and promoting it and deploying it. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thanks.
Welcome.
Is ChatJDE available in an app store?
Not yet. This is purely an educational session, and we will be getting that in the App Store soon.
Is this built on IBM Granite, Meta Llama, OpenAI, ChatGPT, or something else?
Great question. Again, the demo is Llama, but the actual system is based on a small language model, which means we created the interface, and we are not planning on using any APIs from any system like ChatGPT or IBM Granite. We're not planning on using it because it's going to be specific to us and our tool, and with capability to expand by domain, because we want to control this completely end to end. It can be an on-premise solution, or it can be on cloud. And we don't want to involve anybody else because that actually increases the cost and everything. And Sam can give more details on it.
Does this chatbot require separate instance of infrastructure and database to install at the web server level?
No, it does not. So the chatbot is going to reside on a server. It could be on premise or actually in cloud, and that's only the chatbot and all of um, the code behind it. And when it comes to database, it doesn't have any specific database. It actually it can utilize any of the existing databases, but again, that's part of the installation. We can create the database as part of the instance that you already have.
And is it installed running on the cloud or on-prem?
It's actually both. That's our intent, because we want to give the ability to work even offline from a handheld device. So we have both options available.
Is there any AI tool used in it, like Oracle AI tool?
No, we're not. Because as you know, Oracle AI, the system, right? It has its own system. So when you want to actually, I'm sure you've seen the task force demo, and then I think there is one tomorrow. So when you see those systems, right, the idea is you upload everything to that system, and then you ask the system, and then the system will give you the answer. So meaning the whole the process depends on that Oracle ecosystem or infrastructure. But this one, no, it is directly feeding um, from the JD Edwards instance.
And that was our last question. Did you have any closing remarks?
No, Sam, do you have anything?
No, great job, Parda. Thank you. This was really great.
Well, welcome. Oh,
All right, thank you again, Parda. Thank you, Denovo. They've been a great Quest partner for many years, and we really appreciate their expertise. Please check them out. And if you have additional questions, please seek them out. They're a great resource. And again, utilize their expertise. Thanks again for joining today's JD Edwards Week Game Changers session. For more learning, save the date at Blueprint 4D, June 9th through the 13th at the Venetian Resort in Las Vegas. Registration on the event or for the event is open and on our website. Be sure to follow Quest Oracle Community on LinkedIn to stay up to date on events, education, and networking. Additionally, the recording of this session will be available in the Quest Content Library for paid Quest members after the event concludes. Have a great day, everyone.
thank you.